afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. You have Alyssa Corum and Ken Shreve here to break down the market action and take a look at a couple of individual stocks from this session today, including a couple of names, Ken, moving in opposite directions on their earnings reports.
Yeah, exactly. A big day for Shopify, strong close. Microsoft and the Dow, not so great, but it did find support at a key level. And we'll also take a look at a lot of these high-flying oil and gas producers that performed well today, including Callon Petroleum.
Yes, that group definitely taking the spotlight today. And here we have the NASDAQ closing down about 0.3% on the day. The Dow down about 0.5%. The S&P 500 essentially flat, and the Russell 2000 up slightly. So the major indexes really taking the Fed policy statement in stride today, Ken.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think the Fed meeting was pretty much a non-event. The Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, they're going to keep their monthly asset purchases the same. They're acknowledging that there's definitely going to be inflation. We're going to get our first read on, I believe it's Q1 gross domestic product tomorrow morning. So the Fed recently upped its growth target this year to like 6.5%, all the way up from 4.2%. So there is going to be inflation, higher prices as the economy reopens and strengthens. But the Fed has just said that inflation is going to be transitory or temporary. So they're going to keep their monthly asset purchases the same at around 120 billion. And it was pretty much just status quo. The Fed is not expecting to raise rates until through 2023. So.
And so the NASDAQ here holding at around these highs and above that 14,000 level.
Yeah, we're just going to see if the NASDAQ can muster a breakout to all-time highs. Obviously, it's a busy, very busy week for a lot of FANG stocks reporting. We have Apple after the close today, Facebook after the close. We have Amazon later in the week. So earnings reports have been pretty good. Still like the technical setup of the NASDAQ here. Obviously, volume has dried up for several weeks now. So it's not like we're seeing an index under meaningful accumulation at this point, but it is an index holding near highs and kind of feels like it wants to break out to the upside.
All right. Well, it is a pivotal week. Maybe some of those key earnings reports could provide the boost we need here. And just a quick look at the S&P 500 as well, butting up against that 4,200 level.
Yeah, it looks a lot different than the NASDAQ. It has definitely been one of the leading indexes at this point. And it's frankly at a level where we could see it back off this 4,200 level, because it's made such a monster move over the 4,000 level. So I don't know what percentage it is above the 50-day moving average. It's probably not entirely.
Let's check.
Yeah.
5%.
Okay, so it's kind of borderline, getting a little extended here, but anyway, it's been a great performing index, and oil and gas stocks outperformed today. Some of the best performers in the S&P were in the energy sector.
That's right. Okay, and just a quick little look at IWM here, tracking the Russell 2000. Great to see it holding at these levels after a little bit of a rough time staying above the 50-day line, but now looking better.
Yeah, definitely. Just back above its 50-day moving average, holding gains nicely after a bullish move Friday. So really like the technical picture of the market here. And again, when we step back and look at all of the leadership in the stock market right now, whether it's reopened stocks or oil and gas stocks or select technology names, leadership does seem to be broadening out, and that's also a good sign. So a lot of stocks out there acting well, trading well after breakouts. So things are looking okay.
Yeah, and speaking of leadership, Shopify definitely in that category in 2020, although it's taken quite a rest here. Perhaps today's earnings report is that fundamental catalyst that we need to get the stock back to all-time highs. Shares gained about 12% today in above average volume on the quarterly report, which showed strong acceleration on both the top and bottom lines, Ken.
Yeah, this was an outstanding earnings report, something that Shopify has been doing a lot of lately. The stock is still far off its highs, but it did, to its credit, break out of a downtrend today. You can see it crossed above that 12.50 price level. Volume was very, very strong. I thought the one thing that Shopify noted about its earnings report was that their first quarter revenue tends to be lower than the fourth quarter, just a seasonality thing. But when you look at the revenue in the first quarter this year, up 110%, it was actually the 988 million was above the fourth quarter. So the management was quick to point that out, that they were surprised to see volume or to see revenue increase from Q4. It just goes to show you that this company's e-commerce platform for small and medium-sized businesses continues to do very well. Shopify, like I said, it's still off its highs. It's got a fairly weak relative strength rating, a relative strength line that is lagging. So it's not technically perfect, but again, it broke out of a downtrend today. Still could face some overhead supply issues as it works its way higher. You can see when it started pulling back down close to the 1,000 level, there was some volume to the downside, and we saw nice volume so far this week, but it could face some selling pressure as it continues to work its way higher.
Mm-hmm.
But great earnings report nonetheless.
That's right. And offering an aggressive entry there, but we'll have to see if as it carves out the right side of the space, it has another pullback or tight area that we can find some sort of entry to go off of there. And we also want to check in on Microsoft after its quarterly earnings report. The stock did fall after issuing its results, down about 2.8% for the day, above average turnover, even though it had accelerating growth on the top and bottom lines, Ken. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the reaction to those results. And Microsoft did dip. But what do you think about where it stands here?
Well, it made a nice test of its 21-day moving average, so that is a positive. It's still holding above that prior 246.23 buy point. This is a stock that we have on leaderboard. We first added it to the leaderboard portfolio about a year ago, really. So it's been on the leaders list for quite some time. So we had a nice profit cushion. Good to see the stock testing the 21-day line here. It's not a broken stock by any means. Hard to say what brought sellers into the stock today. The revenue and earnings beat pretty handily. There was a slight margin compression in their cloud business. Overall margin was a little bit lower. But then the other thing was their Azure cloud revenue, even though it was up 50% sequentially, that was flat. So maybe the market wanted to see a little bit of pickup in growth there. So good to see the stock rally off lows, and like I said, it's still holding the 21-day line and a prior buy point. So we're sticking with it for now.
All right. And let's also check in on Callon Petroleum, ticker CPE. Oil and gas stocks, as you mentioned right at the top of the show, Ken, the standouts today, and Callon gaining 6.4%, and it has earnings in about a week.
Yeah, you can actually draw a little trend line here connecting those that 42.31 high and the 41.19 high, and see maybe get an early entry here. Volume has been picking up the pace in recent days, still below average. We're going to hear from Callon next week, I believe. May 6th is their earnings report. And again, oil and gas stocks today were among the best performing industry groups in our database. Many groups up 3, 4, 5%, including a lot of these exploration and production stocks. So Callon has a big presence in West Texas, basically in the Permian Basin, which is an oil hotbed. Like the look of the weekly chart here, consolidating near its 10-week moving average. So this stock would be, a candidate possibly for an earnings option trade as they report. Again, the earnings report is due May 6th. So we like to look at technically healthy stocks that are kind of nearby areas for earnings option trades rather than buy the stock outright ahead of earnings, buy a little option, and you can capitalize on potential upside.
All right. Well, CPE, one to watch heading into earnings next week. Thank you, Ken, for that spot on analysis. And thank you all for tuning in. The conversation's, of course, going to continue tomorrow morning on IBD Live. That's our daily morning live stream where we're talking about overall market conditions, these big earnings reports and the reaction strategies for handling earnings moves, buys, sells, when to hold, when to add. Lots of great portfolio management tips. So we hope you join us, investors.com/IBD Live. That's it for today. We'll see you back here tomorrow.